Hey, everybody out there. Welcome to a brand new talk show called Etched in Stone. And with us is Nikki Stone, get it, of local radio fame, and plus myself, Larry Sparano. Some of you in the Scranton area may remember me from my days with YOU. I was a co-anchor with Debbie Dunleavy and an investigative reporter. So the show is open to everybody. Come with your thoughts, come with your opinions. They could be strong opinions. Just don't accuse anybody directly of something that you can't prove. Liability here, you got to be careful of. But other than that, express yourself freely. And we're going to talk about politics today. Nikki, take it from there.
From local talk radio as well as some rock radio in the area over the years. I consider myself to be somebody of common sense and representing the real working class people of not only our area in Northeast PA, but across the United States. We are working class people that have to deal with real issues.
Well,
And right now, I don't see a lot of real issues being on the table.
Well, Nikki, I know that your fans miss you from your radio show, so welcome here. And I think it's going to be a very interesting show, especially with your opinions and your background, and the fans that are still following you and wondering, when you're going to reemerge. So here you are, and there's been so much talk about the new ticket for the Democrats. Of course, Joe Biden has been summarily pushed aside.
I love how they put it. Pushed aside. No, he selflessly, and that's the way it was exactly put by the Democratic Party. He selflessly stepped down. Well, selflessly can be looked at in two different ways. You have to really be careful in today's world to listen closely to what they're saying. He probably didn't even know it till the next day, if not at the end of the week.
No,
he was very sick with COVID at the time.
Well, there you go, being cynical again. Now, this was, he made a personal sacrifice for the good of the nation and for history. And by the way, Nancy Pelosi says that he belongs on Mount Rushmore. So, we can't diminish the importance of the term of Joe Biden, even though he wanted 2 terms. It's only 1 term, if that. We don't know who's really in control. But
we don't know, yes. And we don't know who's still in control, because with what they have running now.
Yeah. Go ahead. A little technical advice there. By the way, folks, this is our premiere show, so a lot of the wrinkles we have to work out. So if there's some technical difficulties along the way, please bear with us. It will get better as we go along. But continuing now.
We've been talking about doing this for a while, too, right. And it's always something technical. So so just bear with us as we try to get this underway.
Yeah. So what do you think of the new ticket? What do you think of the new ticket with Kamala and Walz?
Now, as a reformed Democrat myself, I'm in recovery. That's the best the Democratic Party has? Really? This is what we get? And I'm all for, yes, women power, woman president, that would be great. But that's what's going to represent me as a woman?
Well,
I'm not sure that's what I want.
They're building her up. They're building her up like the second coming here. All the mainstream media. She's terrific. She's ready. She's experienced. She's so competent. Where has she been for the past 4 years with Biden?
Yeah, and does she actually sound ready? I don't think she sounds ready. When she speaks, she talks in circles. What was that phrase that Jem Psaki used to use all the time?
Word salad?
Well, yeah, like that. She says nothing. She was been the border.
Whoops.
Then we said she was in charge of the border. Now that she's running, no, she was never really put in charge of that, even though we know she was. Never visited the border, but was the first vice president to ever visit an abortion clinic.
Yeah.
And I question that. Like, why was that such a wonderful feat to have accomplished? That's almost disgusting, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, they're rewriting history. They're deep sixing what actually happened, like in 1984, where they actually physically shoved news reports down a hole, never to be seen again. Now the media is doing the same thing electronically. Either
They do it right in front of our eyes.
yeah,
They tell us
yeah.
we know what we heard, then they told us we didn't hear it, or they take something little and they run with it. They make a big story out of it, and people who don't delve deep or read the whole context of the story
Yeah.
aren't just go with the little tidbits that are fed to them without any research or common sense.
Well, Trump advanced now. That's the new vice president with Trump candidate. What do you think of that? What do you think of that ticket?
I think I'm liking Vance because he is younger to an extent. He served the military. He was a Marine. He went overseas. He knows um, what it's like to serve his country. He comes to us um, maybe with some newer ideas, but
Hmm.
nothing too far out there. I, yeah, I think this is a strong ticket. It has to be. We have to get behind it. Trump, as you know, as divisive as he may seem to people, he's what we have. He's
What?
what we have, and he's a good businessman, and he knows he's kept peace. He's kept peace. He wants to protect our borders, and protect us from the inside as well as the outside. He's got the policies that he has will not break us. Whether you believe in climate change or not, they have a lot of policies with their Green New Deal that is going to kill the middle class. Trump is not going to kill the middle class for the benefit of his friends
Hmm.
or who's ever in his pocket.
Well, some people were surprised. Now, we're broadcasting from the Scranton area of Pennsylvania, and our governor is Josh Shapiro, who is being repeatedly mentioned as a frontrunner as a vice presidential pick for Kamala Harris. It didn't work out that way. For a number of reasons. People are saying maybe because he's too Jewish, considering
What does that mean?
the Muslim vote in Michigan and other places where they need that vote, and Shapiro is on Israel and all that, so that might have been a factor. We don't
Isn't
know.
Kamala herself, though, married to a Jewish man? Uh,
Yes, he is. Emhart, yeah,
so that's not gonna. It doesn't hurt if the first man is. And I don't know what she claims to be, because usually when you marry somebody, you're both the same or come to the same faith, especially in the Jewish
hmm
religion. Isn't that true?
Well,
I'm confused.
sometimes people convert, sometimes they don't. But the factor with Shapiro might have been that being Jewish, it would turn off some of the Muslim vote in some of the key areas, or it could have been
Also,
something
Larry,
else.
something that you gave traction to happened to make national news now as well, the Ellen Greenberg case. I heard, um, oh, I love this woman. I wish she would run for president, Candace Owens,
Hmm.
talking about that case in particular and the connections that might have been to Shapiro that could have protected a possible guilty party. And that was on the Candace Owens show alone. So maybe they were afraid that somebody might dig too deep into that and other affairs that could have happened
Yeah.
with Shapiro. Maybe he had too many skeletons in the closet.
Well, while I'm explaining the background on that, we're taking call-ins now. You can see on your screen 570-290-8226. So call in, or you could even come in through Zoom. Either way, glad to take your calls. So while we're waiting for some calls to come in, I'll explain some of the background on Ellen Greenberg. She was a 27-year-old Philadelphia area school teacher found stabbed to death in her apartment in a Philadelphia suburb, Manayunk. 20 stab wounds. Look at the illustration. 10 in the front, including one right through the heart. 10 in the back, including along the upper neck area, which would have been hard for her to reach.
I
So,
was going to say, you can imagine, and even for a woman to have the strength to go through and stab herself,
yeah,
like have the strength to do that is is I can't fathom it at all. I mean, maybe if you're that upset or in that mind frame, or I mean, always they portray us as hysterical women, and we get upset. We're capable of anything, but I doubt it.
No, I mean,
And
you
I'm
just look at the location of the stab wounds. It seems
Mhm.
at least unlikely. That's a kind way of putting it.
But you and I don't have that investigative background to say it completely unlikely.
Well, what happened was, now here's something interesting. The medical examiner originally declared it a homicide.
Yeah,
Then,
homicide, yes.
a few days later, after he was talked to by people in the district attorney's office and the Philadelphia Police Department, he was, quote, persuaded to change it to suicide. Now, this happened 13 years ago. The parents had been trying to get this case open and a real investigation going, which has never occurred. So they brought it to Josh Shapiro when he was still the
Mhm.
Attorney General of Pennsylvania. And Shapiro twice, they brought it to him twice, trying to get the case reopened, a real investigation going. Well, he reviewed it with his expertise and that of his expert staff, and twice they declared it a suicide. Nothing to see here, folks. Clear cut suicide. Nothing suspicious about this. I mean, when you get into the case, you realize how absurd it was. That all the parents are asking was, if you don't want to declare it a homicide, at least declare it undetermined, which would open up a real investigation. Josh Shapiro said no, and he used the attorney general's position as a springboard to the governorship, and now he was being mentioned as presidential material and a vice presidential pick. So, this is what we get in politics.
You have to wonder what else is there. And, I think that of the late, I honestly think that he was looking at the position. Some people say, well, maybe it was him that turned down the position because he wants to take, he hasn't finished Pennsylvania off yet, but he has been playing a very more Republican friendly line
Mm-hmm.
since he got into office.
Yeah.
And you would think that with that would be the ambition to do something further, another agenda. Though I've looked at some of the newest laws that he wanted to sign into, um, and one that really bothered me a lot was this law to sell canned alcohol beverages everywhere. Now, yes, it wasn't fair to the bars that they can't, but the one advantage bars have over a convenience store to begin with. If you think he was doing this for small business, he's not about small business. This is one of the states that everything was on lockdown, everything was shut down, only hurting, mom and pop businesses. Well, Walmart had lines going outside, people barely standing 6 feet apart from each other during COVID. Okay, that's our state. Um, this one where he might be trying to say, or they are trying to say, oh, that helps the small bar, but it doesn't really. The advantage of a small bar is you get the bartender who actually mixes the drink for you. When it comes to these canned beverages, who's canning them? The
Hmm.
big companies, the big corporations. They're the ones who are going to benefit most off of this. It's nothing about small business, it's everything about large business. We're doing so many things backwards in this state that, people say it's progressive, but it's going to hurt us in the long run.
Well, there are a couple of other problem areas for Shapiro if he had been picked as a vice president. Uh, he settled a sexual harassment lawsuit for a top aide in the governor's staff, and
Settled.
settled it. Yeah, $275,000, I believe, and I think 45,000 came out of the governor's budget. So it's all taxpayers' money, and this was kind of slid under the table. There were really no details on it, and all of that. Also, he originally went along with school vouchers, which the Republicans were pushing for, and then he backed off on that, and so
Right.
so
So
that
he
was a
he
reversal.
acted like he was going for something, and all this stuff with education, all this money going to education, everybody rah 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 for the education. You might think that's good, but reading, writing, and arithmetic always remain the same. We put smarter kids out of one room schoolhouses back in the day. This is about indoctrination, not education. It's about new programs, better programs. They're calling the quotes, it's not necessarily what's best for our children. Education is reading, writing, arithmetic, and well, the history books that they are trying to rewrite.
Yeah.
So if you're putting more money into that, that means you're changing stuff that might not need to be changed.
Yeah, I mean, look at when we went to school, we were taught the basics. That was the emphasis, the core, the basics. And also we were taught something about government. A lot of these kids have no idea about how the Constitution works, the protections it affords to us, how they're trying to tear that down now. I mean, this is
It
a
doesn't
real...
matter to anybody. I think we noticed when the overturn of Roe versus Wade, which was states' rights, and where the states' rights, you know, are, and the country's rights lay, of
Mhm.
what the national government is to take care of, and what the states. Nobody understands the way the Constitution was written because it doesn't benefit them. It only matters when it benefits how they believe or what they think is necessary. But there's lie upon lie, piled upon lie, that we've been told for years, that people change their opinion of the way our government is supposed to run, or it's not opinion, it's not fact anymore. It's people's opinion on how it's supposed to run.
Yeah, no, it's, there's a general deterioration of awareness of how things are really run behind the scenes. Part of that,
Mhm.
a large part of that, Nick, we both in the media have been in the media for years and years. And I've seen a big change since I started in as a reporter. Uh, News outlets and reporters have always had their biases, always had their science, but it was generally kept to a minimum. But now, they no longer see the need to be objective. Supposedly straight news stories read like editorials now, and
Right.
they're justifying it in the interest of social justice. It's okay to slant the story. It's okay to tell just one side. It's okay to leave facts out that would give you a full picture of the story. So it's...
And put a ton of adjectives in that will sway the reader's opinion on what is actually going on.
Yeah.
Instead of just reporting the facts, they're using so many adjectives to almost tell you how you feel about the story before you even get into what the story's saying.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like for instance, we live in the Scranton area. The Scranton newspaper, I mean, it's all one-sided. Even the
Mhm.
stories that they pick up from the Philadelphia Inquirer, from other major newspapers, it's all, heavily favoring the Democrats, and the descriptions, are very well crafted to put the Democrats
Well,
in the best light, and put the Republicans in the worst light.
and you're not getting the who, what, when, and where in the first paragraph
Yeah,
of a story. You're getting more of those sorts of things that would sway your thoughts in that very first paragraph.
yeah. And just so our viewers understand, I'm not trying to be political about this. I'm just saying that you're not getting the straight story now from
No,
most of the media. I mean,
no,
decide, be a Democrat, be a Republican, and whatever you want, but you need the facts to make those kind of decisions, and we're no longer getting them.
we're not getting them. No, and there's nobody. And who do you trust anymore?
Yeah,
Well, where
that's...
do you go to get a trusted news? It's so hard to research and find stuff out, because things like even the Wall Street Journal are tilted.
Yeah,
Washington Post tilted. New York Times one way, New York Post another way. You have to read everything and try to figure out and use common sense, discernment, wisdom, knowledge, all given by God. What doesn't feel right here? What doesn't sound right? And it's not about what benefits me the most. It's what benefits the country as a whole the most.
I think we have
Not,
a call coming in. Do we have a caller? We might have a caller. If technically we could work it out.
we,
But keep trying, folks. The call-in number is on the screen, 570-290-8226.
we
So,
have a country that's being led by our desires, not our actual needs anymore.
yeah,
And so if I have a desire that I need to be filled, I'm going to go with the party that's going to not that's going to go with the desire as opposed to, needs like eating, housing, that sort of stuff. Um, it just doesn't even make sense to me.
You know what I can't understand, Nikki? Now you had an audience that was largely from the Scranton area,
Yeah.
largely Democratic. Now, with inflation, with the increase in crime, with the border, millions pouring in, I run across a lot of Democrats that are still firm Democrats, and they don't seem to equate any of these situations with the policies we've had in spades over the last 4 years. So, how do you analyze that?
I wish I could because I also know a lot of Democrats too, being brought up in this Democratic
Call
area,
from
that
Rose.
have changed, who
Okay,
aren't just
To
party
accept,
line
press 1.
anymore.
To send a voicemail.
we have a
So
call from is it Rose?
okay.
Yes.
Okay, what's on your mind, Rose?
Well, I've been listening, and I do agree with everything you're both saying. And I agree with Nikki in the sense of Kamala and where we stand today, even with women's rights. I mean, I'm just like Nikki. I'm proud to be a female. I give a lot of credit to all the females before me that have laid the groundwork to move us forward as women and secure our rights. But yet I look today and see what's happening, and it's totally being eroded. You look at the Olympics. Could you imagine? Like, to me, I can't even believe that we're living at a point in time where a biological man clearly looks like a biological man, body shape, everything. And if I'm not mistaken, he has a penis. He blood tests male, but yet he's allowed in the Olympics to fight because he identifies as a female. I mean, to me, this is taking us back before all of the rights that women have fought for before us, and even further back. Like, what is the next thing going to be? Public stoning of women? I mean, seriously, somebody might think that that's crazy for me to say that, but is it crazy that we're allowing men with penises to say they're female? I mean, I have a big, big issue with that, and I blame all of that. That has nothing to do with President Trump. That has everything to do with this. I call them the Democrats. I mean, I don't know what else to describe them. And I was a former Democrat, but I gave that up because I couldn't stand the situation of where this was going, and I couldn't just play along with it. Now, I'm not going to say Republicans are great because we are faced with a ton of rhinos that are infiltrated Democrats into the Republican Party. So, I mean, there's a whole problem here. Trump has been fighting, against the Democrats and the rhinos for we the people. And how anyone cannot see that, I don't understand. I mean, it is so much in our face right now, just what we saw at the Olympics. And the assassination attempt on President Trump happening here of all states, Pennsylvania. But, that doesn't surprise me because of Josh Shapiro. Honest to goodness, I say there's something there, especially since he hasn't even issued his own investigation, with the state police that were there as being the governor of Pennsylvania into what happened with this assassination attempt in our state of Pennsylvania. No, nothing to see here with Josh Shapiro. And we don't have any answers. There's no answers on how this could have happened to President Trump, who's accountable, who's responsible. They claim it's some female that did all the front work, and she's still employed. We don't know her name. We don't have the background. I mean, everything to me is, like, obvious. Like, I don't see why people don't seem to just see what's happening. It's clear good versus evil, and I just blows my mind. But I do want to say one thing. I do not believe at all what they're reflecting in the polls. I do not believe it is the truth. I think they're all, made up, created, or how they word these polls. And I cannot believe that our American citizens would be buying into a possible greatness from Kamala Harris. We've already seen 3.5 years. She can't speak. She can't complete a sentence. Total word salad. She has allowed and encouraged the total invasion at our border. I mean, to me, for anybody to buy it, if they're just buying a lie. And people have to take responsibility for their vote. If they're going to go in and vote for this, it's only going to get worse. And then what are they going to do? There won't be a turning back. There will not be a turning back. We had 4 years of President Trump. We had money in our wallets. We didn't have to take out loans to get gas. We didn't have to take loans out to go get groceries. We didn't have to try and figure out who goes without their medicines this month. We didn't have any of that under President Trump. But look what we have. Kamala sits there and says, oh, if I get elected president, day one, I'm going to tackle the border. Day one, I'm going to bring down inflation. Hello, crazy lady. You're there for 3.5 years in the second highest position in our government, and you've caused the problem. And now people think she's going to fix it?
Okay, Rose, you obviously have some very strong opinions. Nikki, were you able to hear any of that?
I was not able to hear any of it, but I'm sorry I didn't, because if Rose kept going, I'm sure she had something to say.
Yeah, well, I'll kind of summarize it for you. By the way, folks, we're having have to work out one of those technical wrinkles that I can hear the callers, and I presume you can out there too, but Nikki can't. So Rose was
I think
saying,
I might be having other technical difficulties as well.
Yeah.
So beware.
Okay. Anyway, Rose said that she was angry about the Olympics allowing biological males to beat up that woman from Italy, where she had to stop after 46 seconds, and the Olympic Committee allowed this. Plus, the Last Supper spoof that they did. And Nikki, you're upside down now. So there are some technical difficulties. So until we get Nikki back, I'll just summarize what Rose said. She said, a lot of the Republicans are really rhinos, Republicans in name only, and that's why the Democrats are skating on a lot of these issues. And she says that she's a former Democrat who turned to the Republican Party because of what the Democrats have been doing that she doesn't approve of, but yet she finds most of the local Republicans are rhinos, she feels, and she thinks that all these polls showing Kamala neck and neck or ahead of Trump are really fixed in order to condition the public that Kamala would win, even if there was some shenanigans in the way the votes are counted, as many people suspect happened the last time. So, that was a complaint from Rose about what's going on here, and I'm not sure if we have Nikki here, if we can get her back. But anyway, as I said at the beginning of the show, there are wrinkles to be worked out, but we hope that you'll stick with us, because I know a lot of you have been wondering about Nikki, when she'll reemerge, and you've missed her. She had quite a following when she was on WILK radio, and she'll be back here with me weekly, and we'll be taking your calls and discussing what's ever on your mind. So because of these technical difficulties we still have to work out, I think I'll wrap up the show a little early this time, and just welcome you all aboard Etched in Stone with Nikki Stone and Larry Sparano, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.